Another lockdown, another 6 weeks at least of remote teaching. These series of videos are aimed at teachers and pupils in Year 11 who are keen to develop their skills further for GCSE English Language. Forget boring textbook style comprehension exercises. Instead, I will use extracts from Penelope Lively's glorious 1996 novel Heatwave to get you to think more closely about language and your own writing in particular. No other resources are required. Teachers no need to watch these videos in advance. Just press play within YouTube, follow the instructions and improve your skills for GCSE English Language in the process. You're in safe hands with Schofield on Shakespeare. Throughout the course of these videos, we will read the full first chapter of Penelope Lively's novel Heatwave. The hope is that this may ignite a spark and that you go away and read the rest of this wonderful novel, or indeed any of her others. Throughout the video, I will give you a series of short tasks to complete, which I will also do. I would recommend getting some A4 paper ready and putting the title of 30-Minute Lockdown Lesson 1 and the date so that you can complete these. Learning, I'm afraid, is never just a hopeful, passive video experience. Here's how the novel starts. It is an afternoon in early May. Pauline is looking out of the window of her study at World's End. She looks not at the rich green of the field sweeping up to the cool blue of the sky, but at Teresa, who stands outside the cottages with Luke astride her hip, staring up the track towards the road. Pauline sees Teresa with double vision. She sees her daughter, who is holding her own son, waiting for the arrival of her husband. But she sees also an archetypal figure, a girl with a baby, a woman with a child. There is a whole freight of reference there, thinks Pauline. The girl, the child, the sweep of the cornfield, the long furrowed lines of the rough track reaching away to elsewhere. Seen through one lens, Teresa is a hardy heroine, betrayed no doubt, a figure of tragedy. Seen through another, she is a lyrical image of youth and regeneration. And for Pauline there shimmers also a whole sequence of intimate references, other versions of Teresa, which hitch them both to other days and different places. It is a day in May at World's End, but it is also the extent of 2 lives, 3 lives, if Luke's 15 months are to be considered. In fact, Teresa is standing where she is for good reason. She has already spotted the glint of the sun on the windscreen of Morris's car as it turned off the main road, and now indeed here comes the car, creeping in the distance like some sleek dark beast amid the rippling green. And Luke too has seen it. His whole body registers attention and anticipation. He twists his head. He points with all 4 fingers. "Da," he said. "Da! Here comes my father," he is announcing. Pauline hears him through the open window. She too notes the car. She watches its approach. She sees it pull off the track onto the area alongside the cottages that serves as a parking space. Morris gets out. He kisses Teresa and they go together into the cottage, into their half of the pair of cottages which is World's End. Pauline turns from the window and looks down again at her desk. She picks up her pencil and makes a note on the manuscript in front of her. It's an interesting first paragraph, isn't it? Almost certainly too long at 213 words for inclusion within a much shorter GCSE descriptive narrative writing piece. However, opening paragraphs do matter a great deal in both novels and GCSE descriptive narrative pieces. What exactly do you decide to write about? How do you grab the attention of your reader? For both novels aspiring to be deemed literature rather than, say, chick lit, and GCSE pieces aspiring for a grade 9, there needs to be something interesting going on, something more complex and sophisticated. So, have another look at this first paragraph and summarise its content in your own words. Press pause to do this. The video will resume in 5 seconds' time. So here's my summary, and you can clearly see that Lively is expressing complex ideas with clarity, to quote the top band of the OCR GCSE English Language mark scheme, or producing content which is complex, engaging and effective, to quote the top band of the CIE IGCSE English Language mark scheme. To flesh up my points on screen further, the complexity lies in Pauline's vision of her daughter triggering visions of other women with children. So Lively is effectively presenting both the present moment and other equivalent moments at the same time. Lively talks about seeing the daughter and child through different lenses. Through one lens, a hardy heroine, and another, a lyrical image of youth and regeneration. The reference to a hardy heroine both implies that the writer is pleasingly well read, always handy to do, but also conjures up images of some of the women in Hardy's literature who suffer so appallingly. Dear Tess of the d'Urbervilles is the most obvious one, a beautiful milkmaid who suffers grievously throughout her life, rape and sentenced to death via hanging. So early on, the writer seems to be foreshadowing suffering. It may be an idyllic scene, as exemplified in the reference to the rich green of the field sweeping up to the cool blue of the sky. But we are not looking at that. We are told to not look at that. We are seeing a woman and child, and recognising the potential both for beauty and tragedy. I rather like the way the writer tells us that Pauline is not looking at something, but tells us what it is anyway, before going on to say what she is looking at. This creates a kind of hierarchy of importance within Pauline's line of vision. It helps signify to the reader what may be important, while still giving us the broader feel and atmosphere of the setting. Why not have a go at doing this yourself? Write a few sentences in which you state that you aren't looking at X, but you tell us this anyway, but you are looking at Y. So press pause now and get writing. I wrote, I look not at the expanse of green and knotted branches outside, but at the familiar chaos of discarded note cards, unzipped pencil case, and faint speckles of dust on my desk. I always think that with descriptive writing, small, specific details work much better than broader sweep generalities. It's much easier to picture the familiar chaos of discarded note cards, unzipped pencil case, and faint speckles of dust than just say a really messy desk. Is this sentence also a way of showing, not telling us, that the writer is stressed? I'm also interested in the use of adjectives within descriptive and narrative writing. Just reminded that adjectives are describing words: happy, sad, magnificent, shabby, pessimistic. Of course, the quantity of adjectives each writer will use will be dependent on their style and what they want to get across. However, can we fall into the trap of overusing adjectives when a more minimalist approach could work better? So how many adjectives does Lively use within this paragraph shown on screen? Press pause to count them now. Did you make it 7? Good, main, sleek, dark, rippling, whole, 4. What difference do these adjectives make to the piece as a whole? Do we get the same feel if we try to remove them? 4. With the exception of good, the passage makes sense without them. Let's have a listen. In fact, Teresa is standing where she is for good reason. She has already spotted the glint of the sun on the windscreen of Morris's car as it turned off the road, and now indeed here comes the car, creeping in the distance like some beast amid the green. And Luke too has seen it. His body registers attention and anticipation. He twists his head. He points with all fingers. Da, he says, da. Here comes my father, he is announcing. Better or worse? Let's take each one in turn. Main road or road? Nothing in that, is there? All roads by definition are pretty busy. Do we need to know whether it is a main one? Sleek, dark beast or just a beast? This simile is referring to a car, and probably it's too general or vague to suggest that a car creeps in the distance like a beast. It sounds a bit cliched, that. Maybe we need the sleek and dark to give an impression of the car's shape and colour. Rippling green or just green? Rippling helps give a sense of the green, perhaps the grass's vibrancy. Perhaps it is swaying slightly in a breeze. Rather nice. Whole body or just body? Again, not much in it. Body, without any mention made of body parts, rather presumes entirety. Which just leaves forefingers or fingers. Perhaps the unmentioned presence of a thumb within a hand means that it's helpful to have the number of fingers. Indeed, in the latter stage of this paragraph, the writer uses 5 consecutive simple sentences, which fits perfectly when describing the movements and actions of a toddler. These shorter sentences reflect the toddler's own simple, straightforward outlook and actions. Would too many adjectives detract from this effect? So why don't we go the other way? Add 3 more complex adjectives to this paragraph any way you want. Press pause to do this now. Here's what I did. I wanted to suggest the heat of the sun with the addition of the adjective piercing. But is this already implied through the noun glint? I also wanted to give some additional detail into the character and appearance of the toddler. But that said, aren't all toddlers inquisitive? Alternatively, if he's twisting his head, does this not pretty clearly imply his curiosity? And do we need to know that his fingers are chubby? Food for thought about the role of adjectives within your own writing. In the final activity in this video, I want you to have a go at writing the next paragraph within the story. How you do this is your choice, but you might decide to continue with this sparse style, particularly if continuing to focus on the child. Alternatively, you might revert to the idea within the first paragraph, in which seeing the daughter and child triggered off a host of memories and associations in Pauline's mind. The choice is yours, but press pause to get writing. Here's what I came up with. She idly speculates about what will be happening on the other side of the partition. Conventional questions about the journey. Running water for a kettle. Keys left casually on the kitchen table. Scenes repeated, no doubt, over time, over place, until eternity. Notice that I'm aiming to continue the slightly mournful, or at least non-romantic, non-idyllic tone. Rather than the apparent ecstasy of a family reunion, there are the small humdrum details, the everyday realities of domestic life, and the realization that our experiences are dullingly near identical to those of our fellow human beings. That's it for lesson 1, in which we've pondered what makes an interesting introduction, the role played by adjectives, and hierarchies of vision, to use a slightly poncy phrase. In the second lesson, we're going to, amongst other activities, continue reading the story and have some fun with imagery. Many thanks for watching.